decline the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
One small step for man.
In the last 30 years, we've experienced world events in a totally new way.
So help you God.
Through television.
Well, you've done enough. Have you left no sense of decency?
The makers of Camel cigarettes bring the world's latest news events right into your own living room. Sit back, light up a Camel, and be an eyewitness to the happenings that made history in the last 24 hours. The Camel News Caravan presents Today's News Today, produced for Camel Cigarettes by NBC.
Ladies and gentlemen, a good evening to you. 81 more Americans returned from red prison camps tonight. Here at home, there was increasing indignation.
There I am, John Cameron Swayze, back in 1953, doing one of TV's first network news programs. You know, when the chance came to go on television, I was reluctant to do it. I'd been a newspaper reporter and editor and radio reporter for more than 20 years. Choosing and writing the news, my business. But the medium, television, that was the difference. I originally thought it might be one of the biggest mistakes of my career. Well, I was wrong. Since the days of my 15-minute broadcast, TV news has grown and changed tremendously. It has become our main first source of information. 2/3 of us go to TV first, and according to the Roper Report, believe it most for our picture of the world. In this show, we're going to look at TV news, not on the national, but on the local level, because it's there in our own backyards that some of the most important changes develop. And on the local level, we've encountered a TV news explosion. Morning news, midday updates, evening newscasts, 11 o'clock recaps, and news breaks in between. News comes at you all day long.
Channel 2, Baltimore.
Sports, weather, politics. When you get down to it, the stations cover pretty much the same stories. What's different is the way they present them, the package, not the contents.
From Channel 12, Arizona's leading news station, this is Action News.
Channel 4, Pittsburgh.
Portland, Mobile, Tulsa, New Haven. All over America, local TV stations are going all out to make the news exciting.
This is Action News.
Boy, those ads pack a pretty big promise. That brings up the natural question, how do stations deliver on that promise? Sure, they can get reporters and equipment, and they have lots of airtime. But there's something else. Where do they go to get style? From San Francisco and Boston, from Fargo and New Orleans, more than 100 stations have gone shopping for the style in Marion, Iowa, deep in the nation's heartland. Inside the home of Frank Magid Associates, work goes on that affects the way 150 million of us see our local news.
And what one thing don't you particularly like about Channel 6 local news?
All in all, which is your overall favorite station for the local news?
Would you switch to another station for the entire newscast?
The primary reason that people come to us is to improve the quality of their newscast and thereby increase the number of viewers that will watch that newscast.
Okay, and which one of all the sportscasters do you personally like the best?
And which one weathercaster do you personally like best?
We're Frank and Magid Associates, and I'm Frank Magid.
Okay, thank you. And which one of all the anchor people do you personally like least?
Thursday morning, state and federal agents busted 3 men. They were trying to sell 3 pounds of the white powder at the Bay City Motor Inn. They're all charged with possession of cocaine with intent to deliver.
How about doing it just one more time for me? Just a little bit more urgent, just as though you can't wait to get this across the desk. I don't even care if you have to talk a little bit faster than you usually do.
Okay.
But don't let me miss this story. One more time, and I'll let it roll.
3 men facing jail terms today charged with the biggest cocaine bust in Iowa history. 3 pounds of powder worth $500,000 on the street were sold to state and federal agents early Thursday at the Bay City Motor Inn.
Okay, make sure that somebody at home who's got a lot of other things to think about besides some little guy on a set is going to pay attention to you on this story.
So you just want, do you want me more intent, more enthused, or?
Overdo it on purpose.
Just hit the words bigger or something?
Hit them a little harder, the words that you normally hit right now. So relax, grab your script, and we'll start it again.
Okay.
Really overdo it.
3 men facing jail terms today charged with the biggest cocaine bust in Iowa history. 3 pounds of powder worth $500,000 on the street.
How many?
More so. $500,000 on the street were sold to state and federal agents early Thursday at the Bay City Motor Inn. So how was that one?
All of the work that we do is based upon research that we conduct in the field, and on the basis of what that research shows, we recommend a course of action. We design research, analyze that research, are concerned with what the population, what the marketplace, the audience responds to. Ultimately, what it comes down to is the application of data in individual markets. Our consulting staff is responsible for doing just that.
This is Night Beat with Susan Kidd, Jim Longworth with the weather, and Charlie Harville with sports.
Good evening. Greensboro police had to use a boat to rescue a woman and 2 children stranded on Industrial Avenue tonight. The woman apparently tried to drive her car through deep water and got stuck. The National Weather Service says the heavy rain should be over for tonight, but by nightfall, most of the damage had been done anyway.
Basically, we had a problem. The research showed a declining audience because it was not a growing, changing type of newscast. It had the same appeal. It was not changing. It hadn't changed in 5 or 10 years. It had a very solid format of news, commercial, sports, commercial, weather commercial. Anchor person says good night.
As you watch this newscast, which is the before newscast from a couple of years ago, it moves slowly. It feels kind of cold, kind of remote.
There were numerous traffic jams because of standing water, but tonight...
It became very apparent that unless we made a change, we were going to be number 3. So first area you go to work on in any newscast is just gut journalism. And then once you have the guts and you feel comfortable with it, then you say, okay, we worry about the window dressing so it looks nice. I mean, it's the difference between putting a package under the Christmas tree wrapped in brown paper and putting Christmas tree wrapping on it. So we worry about the window dressing, but the guts have got to be there or people won't come back. So we tried to put together a show that moved quickly, that still had Southern charm, that covered all the news, covered it very well, and had a feeling, a personality, a color to it, a texture, a sound, a movement, something that people could grab a hold of.
From the Action Center in Greensboro, this is News 2, number 1 in the Piedmont.
Good evening, I'm Bill Copal.
And I'm Susan Kidd. For the second week in a row, a major winter storm has struck North Carolina, this time bringing us just under 2 inches in the Triad, but much more to the rest of the state. And we have a series of reports on today's snow, starting with environmental reporter Jerry Wallace, who's on East Market Street with live action cam. Jerry, how's it looking out there?
Well, right now, Susan, things are starting to turn cold, and every once in a while a few snow flurries are flying in the air. But it was a big day as far as school closing, and with that problem and those stories, we have Dave Wright, who is inside the Highway Patrol here in Greensboro, and Dave has this report.
There have been, so far as we know, only 2...
Okay, what's going on? We have defined a specific colors theme. We have carried that through in graphics, in the opening. There is a certain amount of energy of the open which says this is what you can expect from the broadcast. We have developed a co-anchor situation here. We have showcased the live action cam. We're going to a live action cam. We have 2 different people. We use a split screen. Everything starts coming together. And the whole show is based upon maintaining that pacing, that flow, that feeling, that color scheme, that personality that has been developed. And it includes everything.
From the Action Center in Greensboro, this has been News 2, #1 in the Piedmont.
There is no fixed formula for television news. It's something that is constantly evolving, ever changing, and it's come a long, long way since the early man bites dog stories.
When a dog bites a man, that's not news. But when a man bites a dog, that's news. Now, if a crazy man bites a dog, that may be news. But if a crazy man bites a famous dog, that's surely news. And when a famous dog bites a famous man, that's big news. When a dog bites a man, live on TV.
We switch now to our special live action cam report.
That's news.
Details at 11.
I'm Jerry Foster. I'm a television news reporter. I'm going to get the story and bring it back live.
You know, it used to be that when a reporter went out on a story, it took him hours to get there, and sometimes it even took days to get that information disseminated. But here in Phoenix or in Arizona, we can generally get the story to the public as it's happening right now.
Sky 12 is the first jet helicopter that is a real, true news helicopter. Just like a 38, the hammer's pulled back, we're cocked, and we're ready to do it. With a helicopter, you're always going to get in on that big story. Right now, the big story here in Phoenix is this flood. It's the worst in over 100 years.
30 seconds, Sky 12.
Special report.
Take it.
Good evening, I'm Cheryl Parker with this Action News update. Well,